Hello, welcome to Woods and Water Outdoors. I'm Patrick Corcoran. Today we're going to make a copy of a plastic for you that one of our viewers has requested. Also have been sent a copy of said plastic. This is called Ugly Green. As you can see, it's an opaque looking chartreuse with a little bit of black flake in it. Again, this is one of those plastics it's a difficult to create with natural materials, you know, feathers and your chenilles. It's really hard to get that light opaque looking color with your chenilles. So and in this time and era right now when it's hard to get chenilles made, sometimes you got to figure out a way to do it yourself with materials you have on hand, and that's what we're going to attempt to do today, and something I think gets relatively close enough that I bet the fish won't mind. So we're going to get started with the materials we're going to use. We're going to use a fluorescent yellow, or well, they call it Chartreuse cactus chenille. When you're looking for your cactus for this jig, I would recommend that you look for something that's more in the yellow line than the green line. We're also going to use our Chartreuse pepper chenille, and then we're going to use white neck hackle, some Chartreuse Krystal flash, and then this material is fish hair. And so I'm going to end up tying this jig very similar to a couple of previous ones. The tail is going to be a lot like the spot remover jig in a previous video, and then the body is going to be in the same principle as our monkey milk and mayfly ties. And so first thing we're going to do is add our Chartreuse Krystal flash. I don't want just a whole bunch of this, because when you looked at the plastic, you notice there's no sparkle really to it. We're just using this to help create that opaque look, so we don't want the Krystal flash to really dominate the jig. So next we're going to add in a white feather, and we're choosing white to help us achieve that same opaque look. And we're thinking about when this jig gets wet, not what it looks like when it's dry. So next we're going to add just a little bit of the fluorescent yellow fish hair. And now we want to get our black flake in the tail. And for that, we're using our clear barred predator wrap. I believe there's 5 little strands of that. You definitely don't want to do any more than 5, because you want the black flake to be real faint. You know, you look at that plastic, there's not just a whole bunch of the black flake in it. And then we're going to put in a second white feather. Neck hackle, saddle hackle, whatever you choose to use. Okay, and we're going to fold over those 2 strands of Krystal flash. And have them be in the bottom as well. Okay, so there's our tail. Again, when you're making a jig like this, you got to think in terms of what it's going to look like when it gets wet. And so it'll look completely different dry. So now we're going to wrap in our 2 chenilles. We're going to tie them in together. And we'll wrap our Chartreuse pepper first. And this is going to give us a just a little hint of that black's going to show through here. And that may be, you may not want to do that last step. I mean, that may be enough to, make that same look right there. You can stop right there, you're good to go. But if you want to get the really opaque, because when this chenille gets wet, because of that black flake in it, it's going to darken. When it's dry, it looks really, really close. And one of the keys is when we put this chartreuse crystal over for it to work, we don't want to make the wraps real close together. Leave a little space in between your wraps. And so just that little, you see how faint that black shows through there. So that'll show through. Now this cactus chenille is pretty long. So in my preparation for this, I think I prefer to go ahead and trim some of the length of that off. They do, it's kind of a catch. There is a 6, this is 15 millimeter, and there is a 6, but the 6 is too small. Too much of the under chenille shows through the 6, in my opinion. You can try them both and you decide for yourself. You may like what you see. Okay, so we trim that thing down a little bit, and or you leave it just as it is. Not a big deal. I think I snipped one of my crystals. That's all right. Okay, and so there's my version of the ugly green jig in the plastic. And so other than that old tail, that's pretty limp, but you'll get subtle movement out of these feathers. And as you know, if you know me, I hadn't fished a plastic in over 20 plus years, so this would be exactly what I'd be trying to do to fish that same plastic bait myself. So Randall, I hope this works for you and anybody else that wants to give it a shot. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let us know.